who haven't registered yet, kindly register, and then I'm sure that at the end of the day, you would be a very huge beneficiary of whatever we have in store for you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope um, we have learned a lot. So please,
Thank you
I'm
so
done. If
much.
there's any question or any clarification, I'm sure Miss Patricia would take over. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Mel Sapong. I believe we've been given an extensive scope about what Women in Research Forum is. Um, and because of time, if you have a question, kindly drop it in the chat section or write it somewhere. After the session, there will be a formal questions session where you can add it and then it will be answered. To the main thing for the day, we have Dr. Grace Kakari with us. I would want to share her profile for us, and then we'll know that we indeed have um, an expert in research joining us and leading us in the field of research. So Dr. Grace Kakari is also known as Dr. G. She's an assistant professor in the Indigenous Health Department within the University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences. She holds a PhD in public health with a focus on health behavior from Indiana University Bloomington School of Public Health. She is also a certified health education specialist, a passionate holistic health and wellness advocate, and a health. Okay, so Dr. G has a diversified teaching and research background in gerontology and geriatric education research, stress prevention and management among college students, community-based participatory research, rural community engagement, global health education, and promoting dementia-friendly institutions and communities. Dr. G loves teaching, collaborating with students on their practice and research projects, and seeking resources to support their learning. Some of their recent publications can be found on her university's website or maybe ResearchGate or our favorite, Google Scholar. Besides academic teaching and research, Dr. G is a creator of the Thriving Generation with Dr. G YouTube and podcast channels. The main vision for these educational channels is to share resources and tools that will empower people to take holistic initiatives to thrive and fulfill their utmost potential. She's also the co-owner of King Kind Books and More, an educational publishing company dedicated to producing educational materials that provide children the opportunity to learn and practice different local languages of African countries. Some of their books are in the Twi, Ewe, Ga, Fanti, and French languages. And with her YouTube channel, I would encourage all of us to subscribe. That is the Thriving Generation with Dr. G YouTube and the podcast channels. Subscribe. It doesn't cost to subscribe, and then have content on research. So this is our facilitator for the day. And please, I would advise that, or I would entreat all of us to mute our speakers. Kindly mute your speakers if you've not done so yet, so that we can have all the attention and all the ears that this section utmostly deserves. It is an honor and a privilege to welcome Dr. Grace Kakari for the section to discuss the topic Women in Research, Growing Beyond the Frontiers. Dr. Grace Kakari, please, you're welcome once more. If you can hear me, can you unmute and let's have your session.
Yes, I can hear you, and I'm right here. I am also going to put my video up so that we can keep people's internet going. So I'm very excited to be here. Hi, everybody. I'm right here. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I'll follow the slides for the day. Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, we can hear you, please. You're welcome.
Thank you for the pitch too. Yes, it doesn't cost to subscribe. I think Aaron has the links and he'll be able to share them with you. The only correction I'll make there is that I don't only talk about research on YouTube. It's all about health and wellness. So don't hold me by that. Don't say she said research and she's not talking about research. So I beg. All right. So let me see if I can share my screen right now. I think I should have the ability to share screen. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, please. Dr. Grace, please, we
Yes,
can
please,
see.
we can see.
Thank you so much. All right, so I love this poster, so I had to start with it, right? It's pretty cool. Women in research growing beyond the frontiers. So for my presentation today, is it presentation, is it conversation, is it facilitation, whichever category we find it in, we are going to start by looking at my journey so far, so a little bit about me. And then we look at women in research, just a general overview. I also received some questions / expectations from your leaders. So we'll go ahead and discuss those. And then other questions that may come up, we can look at them as well. And I believe we have approximately 1 hour to do all this. Are you still seeing my full screen?
Yes, please, we can.
All right, it's my screen, but I can see half of it.
True, I think it's only half.
Yeah, I'm seeing only half of it from my end too. Let me reshare, sorry, and thank you. Yeah, we'll be able to listen. How about now?
Please, I believe we can see the
Okay, it's
full
full
screen.
now.
Yes, it's good now.
Oh, excellent. So yes, in the introduction, I mean, I love that most of these have already been covered, but I think it's important to talk about the beginning as much as the end. Sometimes it's beautiful to see the end story, to see the publications just shining light on what it's been applauded, but where did you start from? How did you get there? I want that to be the focus for today rather than the end product. So I am from Ghana, I'm Ghanaian, I'm from Kumasi. And it's not surprising that I went to tech. I have my bachelor's degree in economics. After that, I relocated to the United States where I had my master's as well. So the MPH is Master's in Public Health. And my concentration was on behavioral, social, and community health. So in the same institution, I continued to get my PhD focusing on health behavior, and my minor or a little bit of focus also on gerontology and health. So gerontology is focusing on the study of older population. So the social aspect of aging, what contributes to aging in place, just everything related to older people, successful aging, making sure that we are all going to grow old one day anyway, but making sure that we have the expertise and the people who will take care of us when we get there, right? And then, so I also used the opportunity to get a graduate certificate while there. Why not, right? Kill as plenty birds as you can with whatever stone you have in your hands. Then I am a certified health education specialist. So what this does is it gives you the opportunity to conduct educational workshops in group settings, in organizations, wherever you are health and wellness related education. So there's a certification in the United States you have to renew every year, but it kind of gives you the credential you need. We know that you have the knowledge, right? You've learned, but to have something that also shows that, okay, she knows what she's talking about. She has the background needed to provide this kind of training. So I have that. And then after that, I went through a private training with Proctor Gallagher Institute. So that one focuses on mindset, thriving. It's where some of us came from. Sometimes we have limitations in our minds, in our thinking, because we haven't been exposed to the other part of the world. So going through that process of unlearning some things and relearning some things, was very necessary. So that was an education I blessed myself with because it was very costly. And then currently I am in another graduate program, and that is health and wellness coaching. You can clearly tell that this health and wellness thing is with me. We've come to stay. We are not going anywhere. So I will be graduating in that program in August. So then in addition to my PhD, in addition to my public health masters and everything, I will be able to provide coaching services on the individual basis. The first one, the certified health and wellness specialist, I can do any kind of training in organizational settings. And now I can provide individual sessions and also charge for it. Yes, and I'll charge in dollars. So keep that in mind. Just kidding. All right. So a little bit about the other side. I have 2 children, a lovely husband, and we are all located in the United States. Don't get me wrong, they look cute, but they can be troublemakers. So don't get too deceived about that. But they are lovely kids. I'm blessed to have them in my life. If you remember in the beginning, I said I have my bachelor's degree in economics. So then how did I end up with this health and wellness thing and health and wellness theme running through my project? So I just wanted to take a moment to talk about the process, how it all started, right? So yes, I went to KNUST JSS as well, of course, from Kumasi. And then when we were graduating, and I went to St. Monica's Secondary School. So those who are from Ghana may be familiar with it. If you're not from Ghana, it is the girls' only boarding school in Ashanti Mampong. So of course, when we were graduating, I don't know how things have changed now, but during our time, there were a few programs that were attractive in the university. So I wanted to do business. And my whole idea was that I wanted to be rich. And at that time in Ghana, it's like when you work at the bank, Charlie, you can smell the money. That is where the money is. So I wanted to be with the money. But I guess I didn't get good enough grades to get into business school because it was very, very competitive. And they had a lot of paying students. So I got into the economics program rather. So with the econs, I got my bachelor's, still with the goal of getting into banking and all that. So the journey looks something like this, and I'll take a moment to talk about each of them in a second. So starting from KNUST, during the long vacation, I think first year I didn't do anything, but second year, long vacation, I got the opportunity to work at Care International. I don't know if we still call it internship, but you go, it's not paid, but you have like 3 months or so of vacation. What are you going to do at home? So I volunteered at Care International. At that time, the project I worked on was for girl child education and sexual health reproductive education. I don't know how I ended up there. I think I lived close enough to Fumiswa. And then I knew their office was at that time in Fumiswa. I don't know if they have moved. Fumiswa is close to Ejoso, Kumasi Accra Road. So I went, I inquired, they were taking interns and they said yes, and I applied and they picked me. So I'll go with them to the communities and, follow them around. At that time, you don't do much. You are not paid for anything. You just follow them, carry bags, listen to whatever they are doing and participate as much as you can. So that was for Care International. Then we came back to school. And the next long vacation, still with the banking in mind, wanting to be a banker, my parents had moved to Sunyani then. So I used the opportunity to look for internship with EcoBank Ghana Sunyani. That was when I realized that the banking wasn't as fun as we made it look when we were in school. In school, it looked cool because they always had nice clothes. When you go to the bank, the ladies had nice nails, nice makeup, their earrings were on top, hey, no sunburn in your face. That was very attractive. But then you go in the morning, it's the same thing you do over and over and over and over again. And it doesn't change. The task wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. So I knew that something wasn't right. Maybe my goal for life wasn't right. I didn't have anything like, when I grew up, I want to be this. When I grew up, I want to be that. I just picked it along the way that if I have to find a job, then I have to find the best job, and the best job is in the bank. That was my own analysis then. So then we graduated from tech. And then while waiting for our national service posting, a friend of mine who was in the engineering program told me about an opportunity in their school. Is it called college or school? Engineering school. One of their professors was involved in a research project, and they were going to a village in Accra, in Ghana. It's, I think, around Dunkwao area, the mining communities. Aaron, if you can hear me, there are people in the waiting room. It keeps popping up on my screen. There are 8 people waiting. So if you want to check that out, that would be great. So around the Galamsey areas,
Hello, Dr. Grace. I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. Please, Stefan has made you the host, so he expects that if you could let them in.
Okay, I don't know if that will affect my. Do you see if I'm letting anybody in?
No, please.
Okay. I thought maybe it will interfere with my slides. Okay, sounds good. All right. So I said, okay, I'll just go with you guys. And they were paying. It wasn't much, but I was waiting for national service and we had not posted yet. I joined them to these Galamsey areas, and these pictures I found on Google, they are not mine. So thank you, Mr. Google. I followed them there. The first round, we collected data. It was white people, so they just needed people who can interpret to the local language. And in Dunkwao, they speak something like Fanti, but of course, Tree speakers can definitely translate. So we were more like translators, but if you are translating, then you might as well be a data collector. So that was my first introduction to like real research. Then, so we continued to work with them for a while. Sorry about I should have warned you that I was going to show some fleshy and ugly looking things. So I apologize if you are feeling some way. But we were investigating into Buruli ulcer. At that time, it was a flesh-eating bacterial going on in these communities, and they didn't really know the cause. It was eating children's skin like nobody's business. So the white lady there, Heidi, she came with a team of researchers, and I worked closely with Heidi. And I wanted to show her picture because even after the data collection, I committed so well to her work that she was a doctoral student then. So she had come with her professors, but when she became her own professor and continued with the research, she came back to Ghana and reached out to me to join her team as well, to just go and collect data. So we continued going back and forth. Then to national service, I was posted to the records room at Komfo Teaching Hospital. And somehow they didn't want me. They said they had too many people or something. And then R&D department, research and development department in Komfo was also looking for people. At that time, it was a new department. They wanted as many as possible. So they said, okay, then go and join the team there. And the handsome gentleman right there, Dr. Ansong, was our boss then. And that was where I met Aaron. Aaron was also in that office later when I was about leaving. I think Aaron came in as the next national service batch or something like that. All right, so I think for Dr. Ansong being here and my research journey, I didn't know much about research. In fact, I had been involved in data collection, but as a research and development unit, when their doctors get their grants, when they collaborate with people abroad and they come and they want people to go to the field with, guess who they are sending? The people, the national service people in the office. So we're driving up and down, helping them collect data, helping them with maybe sometimes dissemination of information. So they come back with the results. They need people to talk about it to the community members. Here we are, we're always there. no specific role, like we don't have titles, but we did the work. Sometimes he will come up with a random research idea, and then we have to go to the wards to collect data, go and ask the nurses about this, go and do this. There were uncomfortable times. We didn't understand so much of what we were doing, but this man will not let us get on Facebook. He will tell you that Obroni Esuadie. If you don't speak to it, means like the white person learns. And he always reminded us that not all national service people had access to the internet. So if we had access to the internet, then we are not going to waste it. So randomly, he will walk around and look at your screen. What are you doing? What are you doing? So we're forced to learn. We're forced to take free online courses, which later opened the doors for me, even after I left Komfanoche. So after the national service ended, I worked with Otumfuo Charity Foundation, which wasn't research related, but community-based project. So I wouldn't talk much about that. Then the journey began when I moved out of the United States. I moved because I got married. My husband was in school. And of course, as a married woman, I wouldn't want to be away. So I had to go and join him. I had originally applied to schools, but I didn't get scholarships or anything. And where I came from, my parents don't have money to melt into dollars to take me abroad for school. So I just mind my own business. But when my husband was there, I followed him there to support him. So as soon as I got to the United States, I decided not to stay home. I decided that I want to go back to school. And it's a long process, long story, looking for opportunities, looking for scholarships, looking for the way forward. But I want to jump to where we are now, right? It's been over 13 years now, and I have still been in the health education field. The Dunkwao project, the Galamsey project, opened my eyes to the fact that basic health education information were not accessible to all people in Ghana. I lived in Kumasi and sometimes Sunyane. I lived in the city, right? I had access to everything I wanted, so I didn't think beyond me. I thought everybody had a Komfanoche around them, but going to these places, seeing children suffer, losing their limbs to things that later we found that the bacteria were in water, the Galamsey water, and they were drinking those waters, they were playing in those water. I mean, things that who I don't know, when you don't come from those areas, you wouldn't think about, you think they are just on TV. Very, very poor hygiene, basic health information. It just encouraged me. I just wanted to go into public health and forget about the banking deal. So currently, I have different research focus. I have been doing global health education. I've been doing healthy aging. I've been doing holistic health and wellness, promoting dementia-friendly businesses and institutions. I received questions ahead of time, and I know one of them had to do with how do you choose like a research topic or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the aging part came in because while getting the PhD, my great-grandmother died, which is my mother's grandmother. And before she died, my mom was contacted to come and get her grandmother, who was in a very poor condition. And they said she was a witch. She was saying things randomly, and she lived in a Fijase, which is also not too far from Kumasi. So it's not like she's in a village with no access to healthcare. They had the community nurses, they had the normal nurses, and they all said she was a witch. So she was neglected. She was not being taken care of. And then when my mother went for her and brought her to Komfanoche, we just found out that it was dementia, which was not necessarily part of aging, but it's a condition that can happen in late aging. So I wondered, so why would the nurses not know that dementia is a possibility and conclude that it's witchcraft and neglect her like that? So by the time they brought her to Kumasi, it was too late. She died. She passed on. May her soul rest in peace. So that is also influenced my research path. So coming from Ghana, I was looking at Borrelios, I was looking at community health education. Now I had something new to explore. What do nurses know about dementia? What have the medical students been learning about healthy aging? What do the nursing students know? So that also influenced my research approach, and I pursued that for over 5 years till, recently, where I decided to move back into health and wellness. So there are different things that I do. I have been talking about the health and wellness and the YouTube channel. I don't know if Aaron posted the link yet, but the YouTube channel focuses on holistic health and wellness. And that also came about because I realized after I have achieved some of these things in life, I still had friends and colleagues who were struggling, and I'm not also out of it. I'm also struggling. It's like, where is the balance? You know, where do we get to where we will be satisfied in life? We know that, okay, I'm doing well professionally, but family is not going well. And we are women in research, women in academia. How do we balance all of this? So then I started also looking into holistic health and wellness. How do we thrive in this generation? How long are we going to survive? At what point do we say, hey, enough is enough. I am not going to do this anymore. I want to do this. I want to do what I love doing, and I want to do it well. So I started looking into that as well. So I hope as I'm going through the process, it's just igniting ideas in your head. Some of the things that you have been thinking about, but you've been ignoring. You think, oh, this is not a good enough research topic, or this is not a good enough whatever. I hope you are getting, the feel that, oh, okay, these can also be something I can pursue. And then for the languages and the book publishing that we are into, my husband and I started because, of course, we had a child in Abuja, United States, and everybody is speaking Brofo, English, right? And then when we went to see our pediatrician, first-time parents, you love your child, you want your child to be perfect. And the pediatrician said, what language do you speak at home? And then we said, oh, multiple. And then she said, oh, if you do that, the child's language will delay, which wasn't necessarily true. The child's language may delay, but once they pick up whatever language, they pick it up. So as Africans in a new land, we don't want trouble. We want our kids to be perfect. We never spoke Twi to our children. We were always speaking English. Then they went to the daycare, and we met people from China, from Spain, and all these kids are speaking their home languages. So they will speak the languages with their parents, and then they switch to English when they are speaking to foreigners. Then we knew we had made a big mistake. So then we had something new to pursue, right? So that is where King Kind books also come from. So now we have multiple books in different languages to help children learn their native language. So why did I take time to go through the process? I looked at the questions, I looked at the expectations, and it's obvious that I'm not coming here as an educator, I'm not coming here as a researcher, but I'm coming here with a woman who has been through some kind of experience and is at a point that will be considered a researcher. Okay. So our unique experiences have brought us where we are today. I want to encourage you that our stories will not be the same. Our journeys will not be the same. We may use different paths to get there, but we can all get there. I like something one of the ladies said in the beginning. I'm not sure if it's Melinda or Patricia, who said they heard about every human life, and after the presentation, they were intrigued and decided to join Aaron's team and learn more about it. That is how it starts. Mine started with somebody telling me about a data collection opportunity, me jumping along and realizing that this is where I want to go. And then grabbing opportunities along the way. So when it comes to women in research, the history varies. And you heard in the beginning that overall, we have just about 30% women in research. Or even in academia in Ghana, we have much less, about 20-something%. So I don't have to go through that. A few people come up when you look up the first woman in research, woman in this, because that is where records were kept, right? So when you want to see the first woman in research, this lady, Marie Curie, comes up, and she is from the United States. So it looks like she was the first in the world, but probably not. We may just not know. What is research after all? Research is what investigating into an issue, right? So probably people have done it over time. Probably our grandmothers even did it, but they didn't call that research. Maybe our grandmothers also had issues that were interesting to them, and they decided to ask other community members what they thought about it, and decided to put their thoughts together, and then went to the king and said, oh, this is what we think. Everybody, I talked to 10 women, I talked to 10 men, and they all said this. So this is the conclusion we've come to. And then the chief and the elders came together and said, oh, if this is what the people are thinking, then this is the solution we should come up with. That is research. We just don't call it so, or you may not necessarily call it scientific research. I also wanted to show some other researchers out there. The first one is Dr. Marie Daly, and she was the first woman to receive a degree, a doctoral degree in biochemistry, and the Ruth got her doctorate degree in anatomy. But there are people out there, we don't have records of the wonderful women in Ghana. We don't keep good records. So it's difficult to find data and even share with you and brag about people in Africa and talk about all the awesome things they are doing. But please know that people are doing great works out there. Recently, a lady in Nigeria invented a bra that helps with cancer, helps detect cancer. I mean, in Africa. Other women are doing wonderful things, wonderful things, but our record keeping system and our ability to highlight them hasn't been as good as the advanced nations do. So there are several articles out there, and I said, I'm not going to spend time on the research side of things. I just wanted us to focus on experiences and practical topics, like what is really going on and what we can really do to make changes. So let's see. So this article, I looked at it before this presentation, and I think it was a good one. You can also look at when you have the chance, challenges facing young African scientists in their research career. I thought that was a beautiful article, though it was focusing on Africans in general. Some of the challenges they brought up affect women as well. So these challenges include scarcity of mentors, lack of funding, lack of writing skills, lack of motivation, and low demand for research by policymakers. Research capacity building courses, collaboration, networking opportunities are also urgently needed. I'm sure you can relate, or at least you can nod your head to one of these, one or multiple of these. In my situation, when I started my journey, I didn't go seeking mentors. I was blessed because of the national service posting. I was forced a mentor, if I should say. Dr. Ansong just wanted to train us. You just couldn't go through him and not learn or love research. We didn't have that option, that luxury of not learning. I mean, multiple people might have come through him and maybe they didn't take advantage of the opportunities he gave them. So I will pause and share that I had my bachelor's in economics. When I was moving to the United States, I had over 15 certificates in public health. How? Because during our national service time, this man was forcing us to learn. And he was giving us access to free online courses. At that time, Coursera was free. Now I know that they are charging for the certificate. You can still take their classes for free. I'll put the link in the comments if anybody wants to check it out. You can still take their charges for free, but when you need the certificate, they want to charge you money for it. At that time, it was free. And several universities also offer free courses. It's their way of giving back to the community. So you can take courses all around that are interesting to you. So I was taking random courses related to public health. So when I was applying for my master's degree, though bachelor's was in economics and I had some experience in public health, I had a certificate in epidemiology. I had a certificate in maybe child health. I had a certificate in nutrition. I had a certificate in this, in that, about 15 of them. So it made my journey very successful. So that is also something I will encourage you to look in. You want to get into research, you want to get into academia, you want to change your career, you want to change your field. Don't wait for like a big big opportunity, like I'm waiting for a master's or another big degree, just certificate, just courses, just workshops. You just write them down. I've participated in a research workshop here. I've participated in this there. I've participated in this there. You put everything together, it becomes, significant. And it makes you more attractive in the workforce. Or if I am looking for someone to partner with in Ghana, I want to see what you've done. Not necessarily the degrees you have, but I want to see that you have some knowledge in what you are saying you would do. So if you have participated in a workshop like the one we are doing, I know that, oh, okay, you've done something in this area. And in Ghana, we also had the research ethics. I don't know if it's still there and if it's still free. They had 2 levels of research ethics certification. I did both. So I didn't even know it was an important thing. But when I came to the United States, and they saw that I had a background, I know something about ethics, they saw that was very important. It made me very attractive. And though I didn't get a scholarship, I got a job. I got that, and that was what helped with my fees. Like I said, my parents didn't have any money to transfer to me there. So if I didn't have that opportunity to pay for my tuition, it wouldn't have happened. This is another article. This is not a research article, but it's all equally good to read. African women scientists, key to research and development. So please check that out and see how beneficial that will be to you. So these are the challenges that I received from your leaders. I heard that they had the opportunity to talk to you, and then you came up with these. And if you can remember the previous slide that I showed you from the research article, it's not very different, right? Time constraint. As women in research, women, even some of us are not even researchers yet, women desiring to do it. We don't have time. We have family, we have children to take care of. How do we navigate that? I will always advocate for slow process. First and foremost, we are not in competition with anybody in this world. It is your journey. It is your life. Do what works for you and at the pace that works for you. We tend to look so far off, right? We want to be researchers. So now we are looking at the United States. We are looking abroad. But what is available to us at home? My journey started at home. It prepared me at home. So when I was taken away, I had something to take with me. So what I'll say is don't wait. With the little time you have, if you can support some of the projects that Every Human Life is doing, you support some of them, you write it down on your CV. In fact, later I realized that there are several things we do in Ghana that we don't consider significant. We don't write them down. And then I came here, and small volunteering, you see it on someone's CV. They go and help share food to the hungry people. They'll put it on their CV. Guess what? It is considered as community service. So whatever you are doing, write it down on your CV. The 1 hour, 2 hours you are spending on this Zoom call, write it on your CV. So the time may not be there to go for a 2-week workshop, 3 weeks workshop, but this 2-hour one counts. Helping analyze data counts. Whatever you can do, 30 minutes here, 1 hour there, get your credit for it. And then lack of support. I think women in research globally haven't had as much support as men in research, and we can trace it back to even the education. When did women get introduced to scientific education? It took a while. I think in the 1990s, that is when it became very famous. But 1970s and then about, only men could go to higher education, like could go to the university. And later, when they allowed women to even go to the university, they couldn't take some courses. That shows even today, when you go into the engineering programs, the medical programs are changing. Now there are more female doctors, but engineering and some of them is still predominantly male because of the history behind it. We were not exposed faster. So the support may not be 100%. I cannot sit here and tell you that you are going to get the same support some men may receive, or even the same funding they may receive. But whatever support you have, just make use of it. We don't have time to complain. We don't have time to sit around and wait for things to get better. We are going to make use of the opportunities given to us as we move on. Then cultural limitations. I mean, we are all coming from different places. We all think about different things, but I switched quickly from aging in Ghana to global aging because I realized that even in Ghana, the policymakers are not interested in research. And the research they are interested in and in funding, not even aging, right? So if you are a researcher and you don't have access to data, you don't have access to, all these supports, where will that take you? You are discouraged. You are discouraged from moving on. Financial constraint is also big. I agree with all of you as a challenge, but there are things that can be done without even needing money. Wherever you are, I heard somebody say that you work at, is it Atonsu Hospital or something? Maybe you've seen an issue in the hospital. You probably don't need money to get started. Maybe you need approval. Talk to your supervisors. I've seen that patients wait around this long before they get access to this service. I want to ask patients how they feel about our services, this, so that we can use the information to make better policies or changes to help our patients or to help our hospital. That is a research project. It will take time though. It will take time. But sometimes we think we need so much to get started. We don't. But for the bigger projects, you need money. Who is going to give you money if you have nothing to show that you know how to manage the money? And that is one problem that most researchers have. There is money. When we started, I think one of the ladies also said, there's so much out there, but how to access it? In the United States, there are different types of grants you can get. Some of them start very small. So if you start with $500 and you successfully manage it well, maybe next time you can apply for 1,000. Then maybe you can go on to 2,000. Then you can go on to 3,000, right? Nobody will give you 1 million if you've not even managed 100,000 before. And sometimes they don't even give the money to the individual. It goes through the institution. So the money will not be coming to you directly. So start small wherever you are, whatever access you have, collaborate. I have the moving forward suggestions that I'll go through as well. But I thought I would go through some of the challenges you brought up because they are all true. They are all real challenges that we are all going through. Financial constraint. Discrimination is also big, depending on the field you are in. You are seen as a woman. Why are you pursuing this? Your work is not as valued as other men's work will be. It is true. Discrimination is there. And low self-esteem and confidence, I still face that. There are places I feel like I shouldn't be. There are places I feel like I shouldn't be presenting or anything. But I guess if you don't do it, someone else will, right? And then you'll never be seen. Your work will never show. So yeah, we have to find a way of getting around that. So the expectations and questions I got from your team. The first one was the difference between conducting research in Ghana and outside of Ghana. Similarities and differences in the two contexts. Thankfully, by God's grace, I've had both experiences. And even being aware, I have attempted multiple times to collaborate with people in Ghana. And the difference is that the US is more advanced than Ghana. They have systems in place for accountability. You can't just squander money. You can't just do things your own way. They have systems for ethics, for making sure that researchers are following the rules. The rules work. If you get in trouble, you'll be punished for that. On the contrary, in Ghana, sometimes, when I was even in Ghana and we were sent to the field, one of the older gentlemen I went with, we were giving the participants at that time, I think, just let me use a random number as an example. Let's say 10 cedis for their participation. Some of the research projects came with compensation for participants. So sometimes you give them items or sometimes you give them money. And then we give them the 10 cities and they are very excited and, you know, they are happy to participate for their time. Sometimes the questionnaires are very long, so it's just worth it. So one of the days when we finished collecting data, he took me to the restaurant. We went to eat banku and tilapia. In fact, the tilapia was really good. It was big, very well seasoned. After I have eaten almost half or almost done with it, he told me that when we go back to the office, I should tell, and when we are asked, I should make sure I tell them that we gave the participant 20 cedis each. I was like, but I saw you give 10 cedis to them. He's like, no, we're supposed to give them 20 cedis, but he gave them 10. And he said, didn't I see how happy they were when he even gave them 10? And that he's building a house. How do I expect him to complete the house if he should give the money away like that? You see, accountability. So these participants sign that they've received their compensation without necessarily knowing that they are receiving less than they were supposed to be given. And even us as researchers, when we were on the field, later the white people, when they found out how much our Black professors were paying us for being in the mining areas, they were surprised because they were giving them more for our hotel, for our food, and they would give us less. And we were even still happy because we didn't even know. We didn't know that they calculated the thing in dollars. So if they were giving us the right amount, it would have been worth it. Accountability is not there. You know, sincerity is not there. And there's systems in place to support researchers too. Maybe in the United States, they are advanced, more advanced. I feel like it's not even fair to compare both countries, you know. It's not fair to compare both countries because of the resources. It just varies. They've gone so far. They invest so much in people. They invest so much in research. Even students can have access to money to conduct meaningful research. You come up with a great idea, it's likely you can get money. And I copied a couple of websites that I will show you all. They give money globally. So hopefully if you have a wonderful idea, you can try and see. You know, you never know what will work for you. Well, I did ask Karen to, let me stop sharing right now and just pull up the questions on the Word document. I was hoping to have them grouped because some of them are repeated. Like some of the questions were repeated, so I don't want to go through the same questions again and again and again. So I'll go ahead and share the Word document and briefly run through so that those who are present can also get the opportunity to share their questions, if any. Where is the share then? It's here. Okay, sorry. There we go. Do you see the Word document?
Yes, please, we can.
Okay, if it's big enough for you to see. So another question that came up, the second question is very similar to the first one, which was differences between reading and conducting research in Ghana and outside. There are mentors, there are opportunities to learn. In Ghana, I think the only research exposure I had in tech, had it not been the outside ones I brought on myself, was when you are graduating, you know, you have like a group project. I don't know if every program has that, but in social sciences, you work on a group project. And my group, we worked on students' loan, impact of students' loan on students, something related like that. So that was my first research. But in the United States, students may have the opportunity to work with professors and their professors. And by the time they graduate, they have much more experience than a graduate from maybe a Ghanaian institution. So maybe with that, my advice would be look for the opportunities yourself. The opportunities may not be coming. The system may not bring you the opportunity, right? The head of department may not be bringing you, the student, opportunity, but reach out and ask questions. Oh, are you working on anything that I can help you with? The most likely thing is they won't pay you, but they will like your help. It's okay. You need it. You know the goals you have. And if you're already graduated, you're already in the work field, it's still okay to reach out to some of the professors who have similar interest to what you have. And you know that you are working on something related to, I only know public health, but let's say something related to geography or something, let's reach out, math, and see how you can help, right? Hey, is that a question or somebody's just unmuted?
Hello, kindly mute your speaker.
All right, so let me quickly hurry so that we can, or should I take questions within? I think some of them may just pop up too. So cultural limitations came up here. How do you deal with cultural limitations? We are still in the culture. You are not going, if you are not out of the culture, the limitations will be there. But I will encourage you to expose yourself to other cultures as well. Now we have access to the internet. How are people doing things? Read about that. Watch videos on how people are doing the things that you want to do and start adopting some of those. Mix it up a little, even though you are still in your country or your city, learn new ways of doing things. And I think that's what Dr. Ansong blessed us with always telling us how the white man does things. In fact, when I came to the United States, I realized it wasn't entirely true. Not all white men are smart. He lied to us, but it helped. It helped us know that there's something beyond what we know. And if we wanted to be up there, we needed to do more. It forced me to learn. It forced me to do more than I would have usually done. So maybe expose yourself to other cultures as well. We may all be talking as women, but we may have individual limitations, right? I married somebody who is already in academia. He wasn't when I married him, but we've grown together and we've all headed into that direction. So he understands research. He understands what I'm doing. If I'm up at night, he knows what I'm doing, and I don't have a lot of hindrances from there. But if we've married somebody who has no idea of what you are doing, it may be a conflict. Right. And your challenge will be different from my challenge. So identify your individual challenges and look at ways that you can work around them. And then this one, Aaron said there will be another workshop to talk about qualitative research, quantitative research, and other research methodologies. But basically, quantitative research will be one that you use like the statistical analysis and stuff like that. Qualitative, usually you are reporting what the people said. Is more of telling the story from people's perspective. And I like that a lot because it gives you more than the quantitative will give you. But I realize also that if you want funding, most of the time they appreciate quantitative because you are using these statistical softwares to identify the validity of the data and all that. Indeed, it just depends on where you find yourself and your field, your individual field, and what is appreciated in your field. I just feel like in public health, you have to tell the story. Numbers would not always make sense. So you have to actually tell what people are going through and what they are seeing and what they are saying. But a mix is always good. And number 8 is I want to know the techniques in research. I think that will be covered in the next workshop, sorry. And the skills needed to be a good researcher. I don't know what a good researcher is. I just think that everybody has to identify their interest and just work on it. A good researcher is curious. A good researcher wants to find a solution to a problem, right? That is where it comes from. It's not randomly trying to do something. I have changed research over time, but people stick to one area. So let's say aging. If the person was interested in aging, they will just keep exploring different topics in aging and trying to understand different things in aging, and they become gurus in that area. That is fine. There is no one way of being a good researcher. It's all about curiosity and interest. So if I get tired here and I feel like I have answers to what I'm looking for, or I've hit the block and I want to explore something else, that is fine too. And you can also do the same. Okay. So literature review, that will be covered in a different workshop. Steps involved in carrying out research will be covered in a different workshop. Aaron, you see what you've done to me. Now, I don't know which ones to even address. I'll move on to 16, which says, I hope to get the confidence and expertise I need to become a successful researcher. I would also encourage you that the hope is good, but it just doesn't happen. You have to start, explore different fields. You realize what you like, what you don't like, topics you want to engage in, topics you don't want to engage in. There are things you may be able to understand. There are things you may not be able to understand, but it's okay. Just start somewhere. Acquaint yourself with people who are doing the same thing, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It will not be perfect from the start, but you will build on it and you will be just fine. When you get out there, you realize that you are not that bad. Okay, you are really not that bad. How to access the most relevant and globally accepted articles for a topic. It depends on the field. It's always good to start with Google Scholar. And then when you pick an article, you look at the references that that particular article also referenced. That is one way to search for current resources. So let's say you find my article on aging, right? And then maybe aging in Ghana. And then you look at the references that I cited. Then you look at where they published, okay? Different fields accept different, we have something that we call impact factor. So the sciences have their own impact factor. The social sciences have their own impact factor. Some of them are very high level. It doesn't matter if you publish in that and it's not accepted in your field. Social sciences may publish in articles in journals where social scientists may find relevant. So there is no generalized way, but always, always, always look at where people in your area are publishing and look at articles in the area. When you pick something, don't do the normal Google or normal search. Just go straight to Google Scholar first. And then you can definitely go on to ERIC, PubMed, and all those other places and find articles related to your field. And then 18 said how to make meaning of the article read in order to make an excellent write-up. It's a learning process. Some of this can be learned in school. Some of this can be learned online. Your best friend may be YouTube. You'll be surprised the kind of information you'll find on YouTube. I still go there. I have two best friends. I really love Mr. Google, and then I love YouTube too. There is always a way that somebody has simplified the information you are looking for. So just look it up, type how to interpret whatever data it is, there is always resources out there. And whenever you get in trouble, ask. There is no harm in asking. There's no shame in asking. We don't have all the knowledge in our head, so ask. All right, 19, how to use the internet and AI resources tools to support research. In fact, the AI is a new world to me. I even just heard about ChatGPT. I haven't even explored it myself, but I think it's a fantastic idea where we are heading. We are getting to the space where we don't have to be digging a lot to find resources. Back in Ghana, we'll go to the library. We had access to a few books, a few internet sources. I came to the US and I realized that the university buys most of these journals, like they subscribe to them. So you, the individual, do not have to pay to get access to some of these resources. So maybe that's also one of the difference. The university will pay so that students can have access to whatever they need to learn. It's not the same in Ghana. I don't know which country you are joining from, and I don't know your experience there as well, but it may differ. And then the next one says, I would like to know how to extract research topics within current events. What are the tools available for researchers and how to use them? And how can we lobby for agency support in the field of research to motivate researchers within the African continent? This is a wonderful question. It's heavy, it's really packed, but I'll say that get involved in organizations like the Every Human Life and Women in Research Forum. As an individual, you can do some things, but how much can you do as an individual? But when you are involved in a group, you become more authentic. you're able to get the group support to move forward. So in terms of extracting research topic is usually what you're interested in. When you are beginning, you sometimes go along with whatever your professor or whatever a higher person is interested in. In my case, Buruli ulcer wasn't my thing. I knew nothing about Buruli ulcer, but I was taken to the field, so I followed them. Later, we explored different topics related to the mining communities. It wasn't my interest, but there were current issues in Ghana, and I followed along, I tagged along. That gave me my first publications, because the white lady I showed you, Heidi, when she was publishing one of the articles, she decided to add all of us who contributed to the article. And after I had done the interpretation for them, I had done the data collection, I also went to the next phase of data transcribing. So the data, the qualitative data that were recorded, and they were recorded in the local languages, I'll transcribe to English language for them. So they added me to some of their articles, and that gave me my first few articles. So when I was applying for schools, I already had this publication that I didn't necessarily create from the scratch, right? I benefited from somebody's hard work. So maybe that could also be, if you can't extract your own, start supporting somebody's, and then as you move on, you find your path, you find your own passion, and then you do your thing, right? So in conclusion, what I want is the growing beyond the frontiers. Yes, there are several challenges out there. We can't dissect everything today. We don't even have enough resources to even solve all our problems as women in research. But there are a few things we can do moving forward. We can identify our interest. What are you interested in? As I shared, start small, start from somewhere. You need to just start. If you have an interest in research, pursue it. If you can't start on your own, join a group, join an organization, join a platform that is already doing the things you want to do, and flow with them. Okay, flow with them, grow with them. Then the second thing is to identify opportunities and resources near you. It would be great if you get some awesome out of the country resources, but is there anything in the university near you? Is there anything in the hospital near you? Sometimes foreigners come, they are looking for people to work with. You will never hear about them if you don't ask. I never knew that there are so many researchers that come to Ghana to collect data until we started working at Confanoche. Because it's a teaching hospital, many of them will come through there, and being at the research unit, we will have the opportunity to hear about it or go to the field with them or something like that. Paid or unpaid, we will still do it anyway. So identify opportunities and resources near you. Make use of this. Aaron talked about opportunities to travel to India and all those places. I didn't get any of those, but I think they are fantastic. If you have the flexibility to travel, just throw your seats around. Try here, try there, try there. You don't know which one will work out for you. Maybe that will be what will open the door for you to end up in another country to do bigger research. Open up and explore resources around you. Ask questions, enter offices, go to the dean's office and ask, just ask. What is wrong with asking? The worst is they will say, no, we don't have anything. Or they will say, oh, I don't have anything, but have you checked with this other person? Or I heard this other person is doing something. Because people are really working hard out there around us. And then the third thing is to find or connect with a coach, a mentor, or allies in your field. If you are blessed to have somebody who is supporting you, that is awesome. But if you don't automatically have, look for someone, okay, who is doing what you would like to do in the future. Find the person. LinkedIn is a great place to find people, or other professional sites. Some of the international faculties also lab mentoring foreigners. So don't be afraid to Google people and then reach out to them. So let's say you go online, you search for maybe you see maybe a university, maybe Boston University, you see an African in the university and the African is conducting research related to your area. You can write to the person respectfully, inquiring if you can collaborate in a certain way. If I had trusted people in Ghana, I may love to collect more data. And I came back in 2018 to collect data in Komfo because I had the connection. So I came back to the unit. I connected with people at Komfo once again. I did all my ethical trainings again. All the requirements were done and I had the support. Okay. So connect with people, find people who can help you get where you want to get to. Then advocate for gender balance on project committees and policies. If you're lucky enough to be in a position where you can say something, say something. If you're in a group where you have only one woman or you don't have even any at all, can you say something like, hey, do you think we can bring on board some other women? They can also enjoy this project. Or can we balance this out a little bit? Can we advocate for women in research? Can we explore other women on this topic? Or can we invite a woman to talk about this? You know, say something. Don't just sit down. Be a good advocate for gender balance. And then promote the work of other women. Okay. If you go on LinkedIn, someone is doing something awesome, share. You go to my channel, I'm doing something awesome, share. It's okay. It's okay to promote other people too. That is how we get to know that they are working hard. The exact thing you do for other men or other resources, just support each other. Okay, support each other. And then finally, mentor other women. If you get the opportunity to break through, or not even massively breaking through, if you've done something before and someone is now starting, it's okay to extend help. It's okay to support the person. You've already been to the university, you've graduated, you did it, you passed. It's okay. Extend help to someone who is starting. You understand some of the research methodologies better than someone else. Help the person out. Or just in general, you work in the hospital, you know better. So if somebody is coming in and the person needs help, it's okay. We are not competing against each other. There's so much out there, enough resources for everybody. So let's just mentor each other, let's support each other, and let's thrive together. Because I think we can. If we do it together, we'll get there faster. We can do it individually and we'll get there sometime, but if we do it together, we will get there faster. All right. I think my screen went back to half, I think. I don't know. But this is it. Thank you so much. And if there are questions, I will be able to take some. Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace Kakari. I believe we've learned a lot. I don't know about you, but I've written a number of things down. I believe before she started, you had your books and then your pens to take notes. Because this is a workshop, it's a capacity building workshop. So by the end of the day, you should have had something in you built up. You should have added or enhanced your knowledge, your skills. And I believe that we've learned a lot from banking into the public health sector. Yeah, I've come to realize that the research process, it doesn't change in as much as the topics may change. The research process doesn't change much. So from what I've learned that first, and some of the challenges, we have scarcity of mentors, we have lack of funding, low demand for research by policymakers. And then my first question would be, with the low demand of research by policymakers, what should be the way forward? Because the policymaker may not necessarily live in the environment or in my society. So let's say I identify a challenge in my environment, let's say with education. And then I decide, oh, let me conduct a research work and try to suggest credible scientific solutions to these challenges. But then it might be in just my society. If a policymaker is to take it up and then make sure it goes through the process and it becomes national, I believe it will have a greater impact. But in Ghana here, as we said, there's accountability issues, and sometimes it's very discouraging. So what should be the way forward when it comes to policymakers having little or no interest in research? And also, you said we should reach out to mentors or people who are doing certain things that you think you would also want to do. So probably very soon we will reach out to you. I think other people too would reach out to Mr. Aaron and other researchers here. Yes. So that would be my input on that. Please, if you have a question, kindly put up your hand or type it in the comment section.
So I did put some links in there. Please check them out. And then one of them, AAUW, is a scholarship for women only. I attempted for it when I was in school. They give money only to international women who go back to their countries to help afterwards. I think they will give up to $20,000. So more like they will pay for your school to get what you need to go back. So you can check that out. Because I just saw in the chat that somebody posted scholarship. And then individual schools also give scholarships. If you don't have scholarship when you go, you can be very, very frustrated. From my experience, God being so good or whatever, I didn't read my contract well. You know, when I was going for the master's program and I got the scholarship, I thought it's 1 year scholarship, renewable the next year. Not knowing that it was 1 year non-renewable. So in the second year, you have to find your own money. If I had seen that, I wouldn't have gone, because I don't know where I'm going to get the money from. I mean, I would not, that's not how my faith works sometimes. I'll not even do wahala. But then I went thinking that, okay, in the second year, they are going to renew. And then I went there, second year, they were not going to renew. So that is where the health and wellness came in helpful. I found a job in the health and wellness field, and they decided that they will continue to pay for my fees because they loved that I had the international experience. Remember, I've worked in the villages, I've done this, I've done that, and they love it. In America, they love it when you bring in something different because everybody has the city life, everybody has the normal exposure. That's what I'm saying. Don't look lightly at all the other things you are doing right now. They loved it. That was what got me a job, and they decided to pay for my second year in school. So yeah, just by the way, so scholarship may come in different ways, but you don't know where it will come from. So whatever experience you are getting right now, don't despise it. It may open a door for you. Did I miss any other question?
I think the way forward for the low demand of research by policymakers.
Yes. I mean, I was going to say we should pray, but really, it's just keep pushing and keep letting them know that it's important. Like for aging, since I've done some work in aging in Ghana, we've had the national aging policy for over 10 years now, but it's never been implemented. We've had government come, government go, nobody invests money into it. We have LEAP program here. We have the health insurance program, little here, little there, but there isn't anything comprehensive covering old people, right? And we are all going to grow old one day. So why wouldn't we want to prepare for that time? Also, if we are doing research in Ghana, I think some of you may agree with me, we are still using population census from 2013. Till date, we don't have an updated population census. They have collected the data, but they haven't released it. It's all about priority. So I don't really know what we can do than to keep talking about it, to keep advocating, to keep asking. So maybe if your current nation is not helping, maybe tap into international resources and international collaborations, because you can't wait for them forever. You know, I really wish there was a straightforward answer to it. If you look, we've published an article on implementing the national aging policy, and they still haven't. We talked about all the reasons why they should, and they still haven't. So I've done my part. Now I'm leaving aging and I'm going into wellness. I'm not necessarily leaving, but that's what I tell my colleagues. I'm like, I'm done with you people. You are not giving us the data because it's hard. Really, if you are going to talk about current issue and you are referencing 2013 data, how serious are you? You know, how serious are you? You are talking about something today, 2023, and then your data is coming from 2013. It's really hard. And your articles get rejected all the time. You know, so maybe if you have the opportunity to meet any of the policymakers, advocate for yourself, advocate for research, advocate for women. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much. Please, if you have any question, kindly put up your hand, you mute and you speak. If you have any question, kindly put up your hand and unmute. This session was organized for you, so take full advantage of it and ask a question.
Hello,
we
good
leave-
morning.
Okay, good morning. Please, we can hear
Please,
you.
Mavis. Please, presenter mentioned the writing skills. Sometimes it affects our confidence. You would want to approach somebody to maybe collaborate, but realize that you don't have the actual skill, especially for we, the new entrants into research. And that alone is a put off. What can we do about it? Thank you.
Okay. Please, any other question? Any other questions so that Dr. Grace would answer all of them collectively? Yes. So I think with this, what I heard was with the low confidence and you collaborating with others. During doctor's presentation, she mentioned that if you don't do it, others will do it. So you have to gather the courage and do it. And research, studying and then reading more, I've come to understand that research, you have to grow. We all started from somewhere. Some of us, we didn't know what a dependent variable is. An independent variable, we're still struggling to differentiate. But then by time under mentorship and then reading more, we've got to know certain things. I think we've grown to become better. So you have to write, you have to practice a lot and gather the courage and then go to the office and ask. I always believe it doesn't hurt to try. Yes, it doesn't hurt to try. But I'll leave it to Dr. Grace to also answer that. And please, any other question? If you have any question concerning whatever has been shared, if you want any clarification, kindly put up your hand and then you can speak.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start as people think about their questions. So I think that it's true that can be very intimidating. But since you have noticed that about you or about the process for you, then I think you should find a solution to it. And it's wonderful you are asking about it. Some of the resources out there would be, like I said, YouTube. I love YouTube because I love visual. If you couldn't tell from my presentation, I just use pictures for everything. I can talk about anything and everything. I consider myself as an educator more than a researcher. So as an educator, I just talk all day, and that's fine. But can you look at YouTube how to write a research topic? Can you just Google how to, and that is where the AI thing has become ridiculous, because you can just go to ChatGPT and get samples of how to write professional things. Though we in academia, we also have a trick of finding out whether you wrote it yourself or AI wrote it for you, because now it's becoming difficult to tell if people are doing the work themselves. So we have ChatGPT 0 that we use to also check. However, I'm just trying to say that the resources are out there. Go to Google what you are looking for, scan through how to write this, how to write that. There are always resources out there, and suggest some of these things also to the forum you are in, Mavis. So you can tell women in research that in the next workshop, how can we talk about this, or can we organize a new workshop discussing writing skills? I teach grant writing and management, and it's always intimidating, to learn about grants and apply for grants, and we are not used to it. It's not the way we learn in school, but it can be done. It can be done. And since you have identified that, I will greatly encourage you to start looking for resources, as small as it may be, either reading, finding samples. And that is why Google is also my friend, right? it sample of anything and everything. The good ones, the bad ones, they are all there. But yeah, samples of letters to researchers, samples of formal introduction. There will be something that can guide you write your own. I'm not saying copy what someone has there, but you can get a guide out there. Yeah, that's what I'll say to it.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. As they think about their question, I pulled up one of my old CVs to just show you something. And it's not to show off or anything. This is very old one, but I wanted to show you the courses that I took in Ghana back there. So these are selected. Can you please see?
Yes, please.
Okay, because I don't know how to get the link, so I'm just going to show you. I don't use this CV anymore, so you can see some of the free courses out there. Mavis' question made me think about that. So in those days, USAID and Johns Hopkins School of Public Health had free courses, right? So I did the data use for program managers. Right. So that was called Global Health E-Learning Center. Yes. So please write that down. Global Health E-Learning Center. If they still offer free courses, make use of it. And then one of the places that I used a lot was this Coursera. It was free at my time. The certificates were free. So when I was applying for my master's, I had the physical certificates because you could print them out. Now they are charging for some of the certificates, but still check them out. Even if you can just learn and write that you learned and maybe prove it somehow. If you have the resources, you can pay for the certificate. But Coursera offer free online courses. So the MOOC, MOOC is massive online open resources, something, right? Excuse me. So I took a lot of those back in Ghana. So 2014, 2013. Yes, this one is also Introduction to Global Health. So all this while I was still with my economics degree. So these things really helped. And then this one is a training that was offered while I was in Ghana. I wrote that down, integrated community case management for sick child. So things like that could also help. And I guess I did a lot from the USAID. So maybe you should write that down and check them out and see if you are interested in health. I don't think you are all interested in health. So you may have to check your specific field and see what kind of free courses they have for you. But these were some of the courses that I took. So you can look at, they are random. I didn't know what kind of master's public health I'll get, but I did family planning counseling. I did youth reproductive health. I did antenatal care. I did population and environmental health. So by the time I got there, I had so many random things that had prepared me for a master's program, though my undergrad wasn't in the sciences. I hope that helped. If you could write some of those down and check in your specific field too, the free courses they have.
Thank you, Dr. Grace. I think somebody has a question from the chat. It says,
Okay.
Dr. Grace, can we get your books here in Ghana? If the person doesn't have the name.
The Kinkaid books, or which
Yes.
ones?
Yes, the Kinkaid books.
I'm working on it. I'm working on getting them to Ghana. Let me give you a link to just check them out. Currently, I sell on Amazon and parts. So Amazon Global. So if you had access to Amazon, you could get access to it. But we are working on it because the original idea was to help people in the diaspora who we are back home. People are already speaking. Anyway, it's changing. It's changing. Some of my friends, their kids don't even speak their local languages anymore, and they still live in Ghana. So there is something. It says, please, can you reshape the last slide that has your email? Oh, Reshape. What does that mean? You couldn't see?
I think the person would want your email if it's available.
Oh, I can type it in here. It's my first name. If you are going through my university, it's my first name dot last name, then my institution. I'll type that for you in a second.
Thank you so much. Okay, so as I always say, we live in the world of information, and take this opportunity to be inspired and volunteer your services to an organization that you have interest in. For instance, even though I'm not in health, I've been volunteering for about 3 years in a counseling center. I've been trained in it, and then it's something that interests me. So it's something that I always volunteer myself in. I do things that have that interest me, like education. I try and then volunteer my services too. So I think volunteering, you are never too old to volunteer, you are never too young to volunteer. So long as you want to accomplish something, I think you can do it. But then one thing I would want to ask is, Dr. Grace, how did you move from banking, from economics banking to health, just like that? Did you struggle initially, or the work experience from the field also helped, and then it made it much more easier? Because even with economics, continuing the education even in the field of economics has its own constraints. So how were you able to juggle it through it?
Well, because I was already in the health environment, I guess that helped. And actually, economics, I really struggled. I don't like math, so I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to even get into economics. I wanted money though, which was a good motivation, but I didn't know how I was going to pass my exams to get the money. I struggled a lot through school. I finished with second class lower, which I thank God I even get to finish, So when I found public health, it's like, this is it. I found what I wanted. It's easy for me to learn about health. It's easy for me to talk. And so I guess I was just lost. People are lucky to find what they are interested in earlier in life, and maybe when they go to school, they pursue that and they thrive in those areas. But I guess it was late for me. It was after school that I found what I wanted. Maybe that also influenced why I had multiple certificates, because I just wanted to know what is out there. I don't think I could have done that for accounts or anything in accounts. I would even run away, So it was easy because I was interested in the area and in the topic, but I still had to learn. Yeah. So that's what I would say. So the transition, it was like running away from something I was struggling with anyway. I finished school though, but I guess you have to just find what you are passionate about, and the Lord will bless it for you. And then I saw somebody also posted something in the chat. But let me see if it's a question. Oh, it says powerful. Okay, I thought it was a question. I might have missed that. But please know that resources are out there, and women should also take risk. It's hard though when you are the one carrying the babies and cooking and all that. But I've been in this new institution, University of North Dakota, for just about 3 years. And within 3 years, we've had about 15 Ghanaian students here in engineering, math. There are wonderful guys here. Ghanaians, over 15 that I've seen in 3 years. And I've only seen one girl, one out of the 15. So I don't know whether I don't know what is holding us back. If you are not married and if you are not hindered with family yet, and you want to learn, don't hold back. Just throw your seeds around and see where opportunities will come from. Don't just restrict yourself to the US. For my school, I don't see many scholarship for masters if you are coming into the health. But in the engineering and in the mathematics, because the boys who came, most of them are masters in engineering, masters in math, masters in this, masters in that. And it looks like they got good scholarships to come. So I mean, link up with people, look up people, go on LinkedIn, check the university you want to go to, check people who are out there. I went to school in Indiana. I'm no longer in Indiana, but I'm on their WhatsApp group. And now there are 53 Ghanaians. 53 on that platform. Indiana University, Bloomington. Indiana University actually has multiple campuses. So just Bloomington, 53 Ghanaians. So people are coming. And how are they coming? I don't know. I have a video on that on YouTube. I actually spoke with two of the guys, how they got their scholarship and how they did the search. And they are all on a full ride, full scholarship in North Dakota. But I don't see many women come. So ask questions. Ask the boys, how did you do it? How did you get it? How did you get there? I came through a different route. Like I came because my husband was already in school and I started doing my search here. But many of the people I'm seeing, they are coming straight from Africa. Oh, so many Nigerians. Even the Nigerian numbers will just overwhelm you. So many Nigerian friends I'm meeting, Cameroon friends, people are just pursuing their dreams. They are just going for it. But check LinkedIn, look up people, ask questions. Some will mind you, some won't mind you, but it's okay. It's okay. Just keep trying. Just keep trying. Anyway, all right. Anything else?
Thank you so much. I believe those who have interest or who have dreams of pursuing education outside the borders of Ghana, and we've had this is a special insight for you to know where to target, how to do it. So you can get more of the resources from Dr. Grace's YouTube channel, and you can start. I believe there are a lot of opportunities, and probably because of our culture, sometimes we don't get the confidence to ask questions, but then we make a lot of assumptions, and sometimes it doesn't go to our favor. So I believe we have to ask questions and search. We live in a world of information. Whatever you don't know, you don't get. So you have to know. Follow people, follow resources, people, and then resources that you know will be beneficial to you on Twitter, Facebook, wherever, WhatsApp platforms that share opportunities. Just put your, as Dr. Grace said, just throw your seeds about. You never know which one will fall on the fertile soil. Yes. So if there's no more question or anything, I just want to say that it's been a great pleasure having Dr. Mrs. Grace Kakari. And in the introduction, I missed the family part, and I'm glad she added it. So let's be on the lookout in the alerts, especially on the EHL page, and then look out for the next workshop. Yes. So please, if you have any other question or in the absence of any other question, I would want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Grace, as I've said, and then the organizers of this program. It took a lot of time and efforts to organize this program and this workshop particularly. And it couldn't have been possible without you, the participants, making it more engaging, especially during our engagement sessions. Even with the change in the date, we're able to do it. So please look out for them, and the resources that have been shared in the chat. Kindly make sure you also try and then take advantage of it. So if there's nothing much, there's nothing more, I want to officially end the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.